Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Being Better. You know, we have been deluged, flooded, overwhelmed with the cry, and the tin is astoundingly so high that we have become immune to that. But then the current COVID 19 pandemic, the economic downturn, job losses, pay cuts, deaths, illness. They have made people listen to that siren song, be positive. Positivity is good, but enforced positivity is neither good nor desirable. As a matter of fact, it is poisonous, is self-defeating, is undesirable. And yet, we have all become victims to this. The other common pieces of advice are similarly stupid. There is light at the end of the tunnel. What goes down has to come up, has to. Nothing lasts forever. Change is the only constant. Trials and tribulations are to build your character and strengthen you, and much more. You pick up any self-help book, you go to any life coach, and all this what I've talked about, be positive, nothing lasts forever. What goes down has to come up. There's a light at the tunnel. They are repeated ad nauseum. I feel nauseated, and I'm sure you do. You may not see it. This, howsoever a good thing may be, repeating it is nauseating. Too much of it is always bad. Even the so-called excellent things like milk and honey, you take them in excess, what would happen? You would suffer. As a matter of fact, the question arises, how are you to respond to this flood of absolutely unsought for, uncalled, unwarranted, unrequested pieces of advice? Imagine you are informed that your pay is slashed and that you could be grateful that you still have a job. How would you respond to that? I suppose you are told one day that you need to hand in your resignation and the corporation where you work for is undertaking cost-cutting measures. And then somebody comes and tells you, nothing lasts forever, don't worry, change is the only constant, be positive. You feel like smacking him. Suppose your dear friend has just died or is a victim of pandemic and you are asked to feel positive about it. Can anything be more nauseating and undesirable? This is hard. Either you have to be an angel or you have to be an idiot. Now you have got to decide whether you are an angel or an idiot. But you are not definitely a normal, average human being. So, you have got to have that exceptional capability of being an angel or an idiot, or a detached saint of some undescribable nature who has transcended all dualities and stay unaffected. But then I'm talking to you, an average human being. How would you deal with all the Pollyanna type teachings to see good in everything and not feel guilty about feeling down and out sometimes? It's perfectly human to be sad. It's perfectly human to cry. It's perfectly human to feel guilty about feeling let down. And that's why what I have been saying for the last almost 40 years, now the psychologists say yes, the toxic positivity is really bad. It stunts your mental growth. You are bombarded with so much advice to stay positive that even in the dire circumstances, ultimately is harmful. Forcing yourself to be positive is taking a serious toll on your mental health. And that's why this enforced positivity ultimately results in more mental illness. And yet, these life coaches, these career coaches, these self help books keep on harping parrot like, be positive. And the reason for enforced positivity to be poisonous, to be toxic is because you're not being honest about your feelings. You're suppressing your emotions. You're suppressing your negative thoughts. And those feelings which are supposed to be negative, really they are not. They are an outlet. It's you human being, compare it to a pressure cooker. You don't release the pressure, what would happen? The cooker would burst. Same is with you. You don't give expression to your sad thoughts, to your negative thoughts, then you become psychotic. When you're suppressing all those negative thoughts and feeling and loading yourself with sunny thoughts of a bright future, it's good for some time. But excessively, you are suppressing your real personality. Of course, I'm not denying, it goes without saying that you need to cultivate a positive attitude. Or what would happen? You would go under all the serious challenges humanity might be challenged with. Yes. Let's talk of a job. You have lost a job. This is not the end of the world. But to feel sad is perfectly human. As a matter of fact, once you feel sad, it will give you greater energy to come out of that. Feeling sad is fine. Remaining sad is bad. And no help book, no life coach talks it. Something bad happens, you feel bad. You feel saddened, dejected, despondent. But if you remain despondent, then of course you go in for depression. You have got to differentiate between for a time and forever. Similarly, being positive for the time is good, forever is bad. As I said earlier, excess of everything is bad. So, what we are now being told by these self-help books, the so-called gurus and coaches, that you as a human being must overdo be positive agenda. My grouse is overdoing, not having positive approach. When you overdo it, your real feelings, your real emotions get tied down. And then, you don't remain a human being. You become more a robot, an automaton. You remember that old tale? It was a poem I read way back when I was 7-year-old. This was, home they brought her warrior dead. The husband has died in a battle, and they bring the dead body home. The wife is stunned and shocked. She doesn't cry, she doesn't shed a single tear, she doesn't weep. And then the people get worried that what's wrong with her? Is she not a human being? Is she a witch? And despite all efforts to make her weep, she doesn't weep. So they bring her child, a small infant, and seeing the child who's become fatherless, she bursts into tears. This bursting into tears is an act of catharsis. In Rajasthan in India, there is a custom of rodalis. When somebody dies, these women come and they cry and weep. The purpose is to make the relations, the blood relations who have suffered a loss, weep as well, cry that they have lost. And those people don't cry because of the notion that the brave people don't cry. That's they have a notion. So somebody has to make them cry. So the system of Rudalis was evolved in Rajasthan to make people not remain robots, but to become human beings. You have got to let go of your angst. You have got to let go of your resentment and your feeling of inadequacy. And you have got to let it go to find expression in non-hurtful way. So that in the process of negativity, you are not lost. The negative would be there when you don't express your loss. But once you express it, you become a free bird. Negativity and positivity, they are chains. You break the chain of positivity and still you are tied with the negativity. You break that chain and you become an independent human being. So, you have got to find the way of letting go of your emotions in a non-violent manner so that you get rid of the poison of negativity and make room for the positive thoughts to flow in that elevate you and bring you hope. But if you are enforced, compelled to be positive, it's like a gag order. And that's why the democracies always say dissent is welcome. Democracies always say that demonstrations and the protests are welcome because they let go of the pressure of the people. But if the people don't protest, then what happens? Look at China. The Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai's repression ultimately resulted in a cultural revolution in Tiananmen Square where millions lost their lives. Of course, repression continued even after that. But for some time, there was a whiff of fresh air and independence. So you have got to choose. Either you want to become a psychotic human being, devoid of all human qualities, or you remain human and at times feel unhappy and other times you feel happy. I'm not saying being positive is bad, but my objection is to enforced positivity, which becomes a chain. Let's face it, it's impossible to feel positive about yourself or anything else 24/7. As I said earlier, either a person who has no connection with their life, an ascetic, can do it, or only those people can do it who are fit for lunatic asylum. Singh Jaspal has made a comment. Rudali was mostly followed by royalty in Rajputana. Absolutely correct. And the purpose, as I said, Mr. Singh, was that the royalty has to show that they are brave. Royalty has to show no expression. You look at the British royal faces. You would hardly ever see them feeling extremely happy or extremely sad. Their faces are expressionless. So was Rajasthan. And in Rajasthan, typically, bravery and boldness was revered. So the royal could not weep. So they found this system of Rudali so that they were not themselves weeping. They were weeping in the private. But those tears were brought by the weeping of Rudali. There was a communication established. A psychological link was established. And that's why it was done, to protect the human feelings and the human emotion and not, you see, outside they remain brave. But inside they can be broken. So Rudali system was created to give expression to those feelings of sadness and despondency when the person died. So there's no need to feel guilty about it. Let's be very clear. You are human. You are not a robot, remember that. You are not a robot that's programmed to display a happy face all the time. The royalty was programmed to display a happy face and to ensure that happy face remained only a mask, but the inner emotions were really released. The system of Rudali was adopted. What is certainly within our human power to control is to see that these negative emotions do not manifest in hurtful, violent, or more negative ways on yourself and others. And before spouting those meaningless statements, positive aphorisms, giving pep talks, the spiritual masters, the gurus, the guides need to indicate the ways in which negativities that inevitably surface during harsh times are allowed to be expressed. Nobody tells you how to express your negativity. No. It's a question of sublimation of your emotions. They don't tell you that. They simply say, be positive. And that's enforcement. As a matter of fact, the coaches, the gurus, the self-books, they should tell how to get rid of the negative feelings in pacific ways, paving the way for non-toxic positivity to seep in. Positivity that is being forced relentlessly on social media by our elders, gurus and well-wishers is now become dangerous as toxic. It could leave you filled with guilt. You'll have a guilt complex because you're feeling negative. You feel sad, oh, I'm bad. No, you're not. You're human. So the fear of being branded as a negative pessimist can even supersede the fear of death. And that needs to be expressed. Remember, you are a human being. And negative emotions, the emotions of sadness, are as important as the feeling of happiness. Don't feel guilty about it, and you'll be a better human being. Believe me, you would be. Thank you.